Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and this week I'm going to get more stuff done in the fruit. Alright, so in here there's still quite a few things to tidy up. We've got most of the fuse panels sorted out last week, which is looking really good. But one of the things I have in here is this old cover that goes right here over the heater box, etc. Now, for starters, this cover is very old, worn, and not looking in great shape. So I'm going to make a new panel of this, and then I thought I might cover it. So let's get stuck into that. So the rough plan that I've come up with for this cover for here, I want to cover a lot more than what the original one did. Although the original one just has a very loose bit of carpet that's just sort of thrown over everything. I've never thought it looks that neat. So my idea is to, I've just made a very rough template out of this junky old piece of cardboard I've got. And this is going to curve over these panels, something along those lines. But it's then got to fold up and go vertical along that edge to match up with what's here. So what I'm thinking is I want it to hold its shape, so I'm going to cut out two bits of sheet metal and fold them and rivet them together. So I've got one piece that's sort of vertical like that, which connects up to the curved piece. Now I've got a rough template here. I'm going to make this top piece first. After a lot of playing around backwards and forwards, I've got my template the way I want it. I think it should be good, so all I have to do is mark it down onto my sheet of metal and cut it out. Alright, so I was scratching my head as to how I'm going to roll this piece of sheet metal, and I've come up with this pine log. Let's see how it goes. Okay, that is a beautiful fit. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now I need to go along and drill holes along the edge and rivet it to the previous piece I made. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. That's looking pretty good. I've just got to trim a couple of these corners and I've got to rivet it to the braces underneath. But besides that, she's looking good. And there we go, it's all mounted up and it's quite neat. I'm quite happy. So now I need to take it out and make it look a little bit prettier because can't stay like that, obviously. So as you may or may not have guessed, I plan on trimming this in leather. But the first step is to do a layer of foam, and I'm also going to use this foam as the template for the leather. So first things first is to cut out a suitable sized bit of foam and then trim it to fit. I knew all these clips would come in handy one day. So I've just made my my template here, and I realised just as I'd finished that I've done it all backwards because I want the reverse of this, because you can sew onto this backing, whereas this doesn't have a backing on it. I'll copy this back onto another piece of foam, cut it out, and then I can start playing with some leather. Alright, I had done previous explanations of what I was doing earlier, but I just realised that I haven't turned my microphone on this morning, so let me recap. I cut out my leather all into the size I wanted for my foam, and then glued my foam onto the back of the leather, leaving a nice gap all the way around the edge. And then I've gone through and I've measured up a grid, and from that grid then I just have measured up and I've scratched in with my leather opener here, just lightly marked the leather. I'm not sure if it shows up in the camera, but there's a light grid marked on here. So now all I have to do is get on the sewing machine and sew it all together. Diamond stitching is all done, and I'm quite happy. It looks nice and neat. So now all I have to do is put some adhesive onto my panel and then put the leather onto the panel. Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm really happy with that. That looks really neat. That's exactly what I was looking for, a nice, neat cover panel. It's just tidying up the engine bay, and once I get the fuel tank back in and the strut brace all back in here, I think this fruit's going to look really good. So, alright, that's done. Now let's have a look at the fuel tank. So before I put the fuel tank in, I forgot there was a foam strip all the way around the edge of the tank where this underside sits into its mounting spot, and I haven't gone to get whatever the original foam strip is from Porsche, but I went to my hardware store, and this may be bodgy, I don't know, but I thought I'd get some weather stripping for doors and windows. I think that's nice. This is a water resistant foam strip with an adhesive edge on it, so it should be exactly what I need, hopefully. So I'm going to run a strip bead all the way around the edge, and then I can stick the fuel tank in and seal it down, and then the fuel tank is the next thing checked off the list. Alright, typical of me racing ahead without thinking things through properly. When I made this panel, I made it and made sure I left plenty of space for the bonnet hinges to move freely, and everything else it works nicely. The smuggler's box can be accessed. What I didn't factor in, because I didn't have the fuel tank in at the time, is that the fuel line has to, the fuel filler neck has to come through here. So I'm gonna have to take this off again. It's not a big deal. I can just trim it out and then just glue the leather back down. But pays to think ahead. So let's start looking at fitting in this filler neck. Typical, I wrestle with it, get it in, and then I forgot to put one of the hose clamps on, so I have to wrestle it out again and put the hose clamp on, and then... One more thing that I realised that I haven't done yet, which I should have gotten onto a lot earlier, is I did my smuggler's box cover, but I never actually put the latch on it to hold it down, so I'm going to have to make up now a latch and chuck that in before I go too much further. Now that looks pretty neat. I used a little zinc coated bracket I had. It's nice and shiny, so it matches in with the bolts, etc. that I've got in here already. So now I need to put in my heater box cover again, and then I can try and work out where I've got to trim it to fit the fuel filler neck. Alright, so I've made the template up that looks like it should be pretty good. So now I need to just transfer this onto my current piece and cut it out and hope it works this time. This spare tyre is going to need a bit of a tidy up and a paint now that I have a look at it, so that will be another job for another week, but I'll just chuck it in for now just to see how it all fits and how it all looks. This is one of the real little nasties of Australia. It's the redback spider. I don't know if you can really see it there, but there's a red stripe on his back. It's hard to see. These guys are very nasty and give a very nasty bite. And he was hiding in my spare tyre. So another thing I didn't think through completely is when the fuse cover is on, I can't get the bolt in for this strut brace. So every time I do it, I'm going to take the cover off of the fuse box before I can put the bolt into the strut brace. It's not a big deal, but it's just another pain in the backside thing. Well, that's how these things go. The fruit is starting to look pretty sorted. I'm really happy with how that panel came out. It's all tied together nicely. So I think that must mean it's time for fun facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hi guys, although the 356 was the first full production car from Porsche, the Type 64 is considered to be the first from what was to be the Porsche company. It was built in 1938, and in terms of design and aerodynamics, it was considered to be far ahead of its time. Only 3 were made. One was destroyed during the war, and the other 2 were used by members of the Porsche family. However, in 1945, American troops found one of them. They cut the roof off, and they drove it until the engine died, and then it was used for scrap, leaving only one in existence.
Alright guys, and that's it for another week, and the fruit is starting to look really good. It's all starting to get buttoned up and sort of tidied up the way it's supposed to be, and hopefully it can be left that way. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There will not be a Porsche video next week because I am going to be heading over to LA to do some engine work. So for any of you LA guys, I'll be at Lufgekurt, if that's how you pronounce it, next weekend. So please come up and say hi if you're around. So as always, please like and subscribe to my channel, Home Built by Jeff, and you can follow me at Facebook and Instagram at the same place. See you guys.
I don't know. Aerodynamics. It's good they're there.
For those of you who are not going to be in LA, which is everybody,
which is 99.9% of the world. Watches you.
Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Or maybe if I actually say it properly.